I am back home. I am back in my bed. It's Sunday morning. I actually got back Friday evening, but the end of the trip and the last couple days were such a whirlwind that I didn't really get to round things off the way that I wanted to and just talk about my experience. But I don't need to do things the way that I want to. I just, flow and do them on God's time. And I think now is the perfect time because I got home, I had more activations, I had more integration that I experienced. I'm still in the experience and the energy of the trip, and I hope to continue to stay in this energy because it has unlocked me. Whew, man. Mm. Oof. Ooh. Yeah, I feel that so strong in my heart. Like, this was one of the biggest activations of my life in the way that ayahuasca was an activation and the way that iboga was an activation. Like, this was an activation, a catalyst, a deepening into who I am authentically. And so much has had to do with the recovery of my inner child. So much of Ebony, uninhibited, fully expressed, stepping in purpose, is the result of this reconnection to my inner child and the safety that she feels to exist in this world, knowing that I will honor her and protect her. The last full day in Jamaica, we did sound healing. We worked with the tuning forks Althea trained us. We went to Wake and Bake, which was lit. I did have some infused ackee and saltfish. Or I had an infused smoothie that was, what was it? It was banana, pineapple, and papaya. So good. Fresh fruit. Everything was so fresh. Infused food. Just like, girl, we was in there. It was in there. High. But it was such a grounding, calming feeling. There was nothing really psychoactive about it. I think everybody was just calm, and it just put us in our bodies and in the present. And it's interesting. Like, I've had a very interesting relationship with marijuana over the years. I've never felt like that was my medicine. And it's probably a medicine that I won't use a lot going forward. But I think this experience really gave me a new respect for it. Because I previously to this trip felt as though I was just like, I don't smoke, or I don't utilize marijuana in any way because it made me sleepy and I feel just down. Like, I feel like so pushed back from myself, like pushed back from the version of myself that is facing the world. Like, I just want to go inward, and I don't like that. I like to be fully expressed. I like to be out, facing the world and in the world and participating with the world. And I felt like marijuana kind of prevented me from being able to do that. But I really saw the benefit of that plant during this trip, and I really appreciated it. I started menstruating on this trip, and I was like, yo, I can't believe I've been letting my cramps bully me like this. Meanwhile, there's this wonderful plant that I can consume in various ways that can help aid me in moving through this discomfort. So anyways, I say that to say, this was, there was a plant medicine education around Hape, but there was also some other plant medicine education, at least on my end, that is very valuable. And I'm just glad that I can use my scientific brain and kind of do like case studies on myself and what works for me and apply that to the people who I work with. And I know that everybody's different and everybody's going to have different needs, but I really take this work seriously, and I treat it like, all of these are kind of clinical studies, and I'm just building up my database to understand how these medicines work and why they're beneficial, in the same way that, these pharmaceutical companies study drugs and do these case studies. I'm like, how can we have the same sort of scientific data and backing, but for these natural herbs and remedies and plants that can really benefit us without half or even any of the side effects? So yeah, growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. Like, if you ask either of my parents, aside from being an artist, aside from the creativity, I always wanted to be some sort of doctor. My mom will tell you I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I know I wanted to be a dentist at some point. Like, and it's so interesting now because I do work with the mind and I do work to heal the mind through plants, but it's not through the modalities that have been deemed socially acceptable. It's through nature, it's through spirit, it's through intuition. And so when you're a kid, you know exactly what you want, and then God kind of fills in how that's going to happen. And I couldn't think of a better way to actually help people, because I'm actually helping people. I'm not just making them sicker and having them addicted to what it is that I am providing them, or having them dependent on what it is that I'm providing them. I am truly encouraging health within them, wholeness within them, so that eventually they can be completely free of whatever it is that they're suffering from. There's some language that, as holistic healers, we have to avoid. We can't say that we can do certain things with the medicine, or that the medicine can do certain things. And so I would just say that I'm here to encourage healing. And I'm here to encourage those to heal themselves. Again, one of the most beautiful lessons from Althea is, like, we are not here to heal people. We are here to encourage them to heal themselves. So allowing people to recognize the healer within them, empowering them to recognize the healer within them, and holding space for that. But speaking of my childhood dreams, I feel like that's the perfect segue into just like the realization that I had while doing tuning forks training at Wake and Bake. At first, I was very stiff. At first, I was just like very stiff, very clinical, trying to do everything correctly, trying to be very precise. And I reached this moment where I just let go. I was working on Althea. I served her hape at Wake and Bake, which made me so incredibly nervous because she is somebody I really admire, and I wanted her to have a good experience because she gave Naomi and I such a phenomenal experience. And she's literally the first person I ever served hape to, which is like so crazy, because I'm just like, whoa, I don't, as my teacher, I just wanted her to just have a great experience with the medicine. So, she's somebody I really admire in this space. And so it was a little bit nerve-wracking. And even so with the tuning forks, and even with the hape a bit, at first I was so stiff, right? At first I was so stiff, just trying to do everything very procedurally, just very like step 1, step 2, step 3. And I wasn't completely tuned into the present moment, because I was in my head trying to remember all of the exact precise steps that I was supposed to go through to administer the medicine and to do the tuning forks. I reached a point during the tuning forks where I just let go and I could literally feel myself fall into flow state. It was as if I was just flowing and dancing and hitting the fork and waving it like it was a magic wand and moving my hips. And I was dancing around Athea, and she's like, that feels really good. And I was like, oh, it's when I give myself permission to be my inner child or for her to come out. Because before that, I'm using my adult logical brain. I'm trying to do everything right. When I let that go and I just dropped into my body and I felt my inner child connect, that's when the medicine came out. And I realized that my inner child is the keeper of my medicine, because she's the one who flows and she's the one who dances and she's the one who feels spirit and she's the one who's waving that tuning fork like a magical wand. I have chills right now as I'm saying this. She's the one waving that tuning fork like a magical wand, and there's not too much thought that's happening, but it's like the dancing and the waving and the hip shaking and all that stuff. That's her coming through. And so this trip really gave me the safety that I needed. It really afforded me the safety that I needed to bring her forth, and it also just affirmed her so much. And growing up, like my dad, who I love, used to always tell me, like, put the monkey back in the cage, right? And so I learned to detach from that part of myself that wanted to constantly be in play and constantly be in motion and singing and dancing and, just a vessel for the energy that comes through, right? I've always channeled a lot of energy, I realized, and that's probably why it was a little frustrating for my dad, or he just wanted to make sure that he was raising me in such a way that I could assimilate into society and not face too many issues. And I definitely understand that. But as an adult and as a spiritualist, I now realize that I wasn't born here to assimilate into society. I was born here to actually break down what was pre-existing prior to my arrival and create space for something new, by creating space for myself first and foremost. And so it's the monkey coming out of the cage, the metaphorical monkey coming out of the cage. And trust me, I understand the racist implications around the use of the word monkey, and that's not what this is about. But yeah, it's her just being free. She's the one who's totally tapped into God. She's the one who's totally tapped into intuition. And so I just have to allow her to come out and play. And that's where I find my medicine. She's the one who's going to heal the world. She's the one who had aspirations of being a doctor. So, just getting comfortable with allowing her to take the lead, especially when it comes to how I show up in this healing space. So it was such a beautiful trip. After that, we went to the beach for a while. Got to do my little water baby thing and go be in the ocean. The last night I did eat some oxtail, and that was phenomenal. I'm constantly checking in with Spirit about, Spirit, is it okay if I eat this? Spirit, is it okay if I do this? Spirit will tell me yes or no. And in that moment, I'm at this place where, I've worked so hard, and I feel Spirit allowing me to indulge in certain ways a little bit, because it's funny. At certain points in time, you need a lot of discipline and restriction to raise your vibration. And then at certain points in time, you need a little bit more indulgence to keep your vibration high and to raise your vibration. And you have to just constantly be in flow and constantly be checking in with Spirit about the season that you're in, and seeing what is right for you. But you know, it took me a minute to record this because Spirit had me outside. Like, Spirit had me on go. I'm in this season where I'm really being pushed out of the shadows, right? Out of my hermit mode, out of what has been comfortable for me. And I'm being pushed into the outside world. I'm being pushed into connection. I'm being pushed into community. And it does take a nudge, right? Because I haven't always felt safe, and I haven't always felt like these are spaces that recharge me. A lot of the times I just feel drained afterward and anxious, and I have to go home and sage myself and Palo Santo myself. One of the most interesting things that I learned on the trip, though, that has really put my life into context is that, you know, a lot of us know about like clairvoyance and, you know, just the clairs that are very popular, but clairsentience, it's somewhat known, but I don't think people fully understand the implications of it. And I am extremely clairsentient. So after I served Hape to Athea and we did the tuning forks, she came and sat down next to me, and she at one point turned to me and said, "How are you feeling?" Boy, I was ready to throw up. I was feeling so sick. You know, when the saliva starts to come into your mouth and you got to just keep swallowing and swallowing and swallowing to try to keep it down. That's what was happening to me. And I just let her know that, and she was like, "Oh, I can sense that because the Hape, some of it migrated down to my stomach, and I know that you're clairsentient." And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." I've always had this thing where like I can't watch violence on TV because I can literally feel what is happening as people are getting shot or beat up or harmed. You know, if somebody sits next to me and their stomach hurts, my stomach will start hurting. I can sense other people's worry and anxiety, and large crowds are a little bit hard for me. And I have to kind of like, well, now I know that I can separate what is mine from what is other people's because I'm aware of this gift. And I never thought of it as like a gift. I was just like, I don't know. These things are weird for me. Like, I don't know how people can sit through violent movies and people getting beat up. And I never thought of it as like, oh, you are this type of sensitivity and perception is a gift that you possess. And that's why you're having a different experience than other people. But now that I understand that about myself, I can accommodate myself. And I can train myself how to shut it off, when to turn it on, when it's useful, when it's not useful, how to separate emotions that are mine, and how to cleanse my energy and keep my energy clear. And that was like one of the best discoveries of my life, because for 30 years, I've just been taking on other people's emotions and not knowing it. And that has been very harmful at points for me. So, definitely grateful for that. I feel like there's just so much to say, but I'm just in deep gratitude, and I'm excited for what comes next. Like, I am excited to just put everything to the test. It was incredible to see Naomi again after a year and a half, and to reconnect with her. And Althea just, you know, affirmed to us, like, there's a reason why you guys are both here. There's a reason why you met when you did, and there's a reason why you're meeting again at this time. And so I'm just excited to see what comes next for both of us and all of us, the entire group. I know this is just the beginning of how God is going to use me in this world, and it's very exciting. And I'm just open, and I just feel so much more free to be myself, because I have done the work to create the safety for my inner child to come forward. And she is truly the one who is going to be dancing in her purpose moving forward. And I understand another thing that Althea spoke about was like, she understands why she was in the vessel that she's in. And I understand why I'm in the vessel that I'm in. I have this very young face, and I have this very young spirit, And I'm here to help children, and I'm here to help adults recover their inner child. Like, I am here for the wellness and protection of children. And that comes from the fact that as a child, I wasn't as protected as a child should be. If you haven't, you should read my memoir, Daughter, because I go into detail about that. But I wasn't as protected as a child should be. And my medicine here on earth right now is to be of service to children, physical children, and the inner child that exists within all of us. The work that I've had to do to recover mine will allow me to teach people how to recover theirs. You know, it makes sense why my business name is Daughter, why my book name is Daughter. Those are all things that came from spirit, straight from spirit. You know, you're going to build a business, you're going to call it Daughter, you're going to, you know, those directions all came from spirit. I'm here to help serve the children. And then, you know, I'm a model. Like, God has just been speaking to me, and this is the integration piece. When I got home, it's like, I am God's ambassador. Like, what does it mean to be a model? It means to be a representative of something. It means to be cloaked in something, right? And to represent that thing. I am an ambassador for God's love, and I'm cloaked in God's armor, and I'm cloaked in God's strength. And that is what I model. I model God's love for the world. And I also have this face and this type of look and beauty where everywhere I go in the world, I look like the people. I've been from Egypt to, you know, other places that I've traveled in Africa, to the Dominican Republic, to, like, it doesn't matter, you know, even India. Like, everywhere I go in the world, I end up somehow resembling the people. And that is so I can be God's ambassador. You know, people are more likely to trust and believe in a person who resembles them and who has gone through similar struggles to them. And, you know, God was just filling my spirit with this message. You know, Althea was saying she came here as this beautiful brown-skinned woman with kinky hair and thick thighs, because that has been who has historically been the most oppressed among us. Like, she had to incarnate here as what would be considered as the bottom of the food chain, according to the patriarchy and according to capitalism and white supremacy. She had to incarnate here as the least revered among us, right? And I incarnated here as God's ambassador, someone who also represents the least among us, but who can go out into the world and still somewhat assimilate with all cultures, so that I can uplift many. I can connect with many. I resemble many. And so I can demonstrate God's love to many. It's still being integrated into my spirit, and so it makes me very emotional. But every part of my life up until this point has just been the training grounds for who I'm meant to be in this world, and it all matters and it all makes sense, and it's all contributing to this moment. So that said, I'm about to get up, start my day, go hang out with my puppy, give him a bath. Him a stinky boy, because him just came back from boarding, so we gotta give him a bath. And I'm just flowing. I'm just in a flow state. I have no plans. I'm letting God move me. I'm letting the spirit move me day to day. I'm in my feminine energy, and it just feels so good that I am supported at this level and I can be in flow at this level. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm so excited for what comes next. Peace.